What's going on, knuckleheads? This is the Fighters Rep, and this is our Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Calvin Kattar Preview Prediction. It's UFC Fight Night 163, and it is going down tomorrow, straight out of Moscow, Russia. And knuckleheads, this is looking like a fantastic exhibition, showcase, whatever you want to call it, for the Russians, especially if you look at the card. The Russians that are closer to the Caucasus Mountains region, it looks like a really exciting card, and looks like there's going to be a lot of prospects from Russia on this card. The other interesting thing on the card is Alexander Volkov in the heavyweight division, co-main eventing against Greg Hardy. That should be an interesting one. Greg Hardy with just 6 fights and 1 no contest, going up against Alexander Volkov, a 37-fight veteran. Should be a fun match to watch. It's the first time it looks like that Greg Hardy's getting himself a top 10 opponent. Really excited about the card, but more excited, more than anything, about the Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Calvin Kattar fight. Zabit has time and time again shown himself to be extremely talented. A lot of people are saying that this guy may be the future of combat sports, or he may be a future champion at the very least. He does look the part so far, but he's going up against a very tough and more experienced Calvin Kattar, who's also surging and in his prime. So let's quickly take a look at the numbers. That's what we always do. We look at the tail of the tape, and then after we look at the tail of the tape, we tell you what we think each guy needs to do, and then we give you our prediction. So first things first, the odds. It looks like Zabit Magomedsharipov is a slight favorite in most places. Actually, a pretty decent favorite, minus 280, minus 250 I've seen. And he's definitely favored to win, and I think for good reason, despite the fact that he's less experienced. Now, as far as the tail of the tape goes, Magomedsharipov, just 28 years old, but fights like a person that's been in the game forever, fights like an absolute veteran, grew up in combat sports, supposedly went to some kind of schooling as a young man in Dagestan that taught him, besides academics, how to defend himself. And you could see it in the way that he fights. He transitions flawlessly between stand-up and ground, and just a fantastic all-around fighter. But 28 years old against Calvin Kattar's 31 years old. Both guys in their prime or heading there. So not a huge advantage for either one of them there. I think perhaps when you take into consideration their maturity level as fighters, you would say that Magomedsharipov 28 years is a bit of an advantage over Kattar's 31, because it seems to me that he's reached a high level of maturity at a very young age. So, but nonetheless, it's close in age, and definitely not a huge advantage there. As far as height goes, we have a 6'1.5" Magomedsharipov. It's amazing. He makes the featherweight limit against another pretty tall guy, Calvin Kattar, at 5'11". Of course, if you think height is an advantage, this matters. For me, I think that's up for debate. I think it depends on how the guys use their height. So I'm not going to go ahead and give the advantage to anyone on that one. But if you think Magomedsharipov at 6'1.5" is that an advantage over Kattar at 5'11". If you think height matters that much, then definitely it's an advantage. As far as reach goes, this is where I start believing in the advantages a bit more. Magomedsharipov with a 73-inch reach versus Kattar's 72-inch reach. Not a huge advantage for Magomedsharipov, but he is a very good striker. He does use his legs seemingly a lot more than Kattar does, and so I think that reach in this fight is going to be a big factor in deciding who's going to win this fight. And as far as fights, we've got Zabit Magomedsharipov at 17 wins and 1 loss, so a total of 18 fights versus Calvin Kattar's 23 fights. And Kattar's no slouch, 20 wins with just 3 losses, so he's got more experience than Kattar. When we look at their record, and this is something I wanted to go over definitely before I give you my prediction and tell you what I think each guy has to do to win this fight. When we look at their record, Magomedsharipov is 5-0 now in the UFC. He's rattled off 5 straight wins in the UFC, and it looks like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 straight wins, whereas Kattar has 2 straight wins. He had a loss before that 3 fights ago against Renato Moicano. But before that, I mean, he had, an over 10 fight win streak going on himself. So, I mean, he won about 10 or 11 fights straight, lost to Moicano, and then he's won 2 straight by TKO. So he's won emphatically. That being said, when you take a look at their resumes, even though Zabit Magomedsharipov has a bit less experience than Calvin Kattar does, I believe Zabit has the better guys on his resume. He's got Jeremy Stephens on there, who he beat by decision at UFC 235. He's got Shayman Moraes, who definitely no joke. I know plenty about him being in the Southern California fight scene. He beat him on November 25th, 2017 at UFC Fight Night, the Bisping versus Gastelum card. He had Kyle Bochniak on his resume, who fought a hell of a fight against him, and I thought was a pretty decent fighter. But, other than that, nobody to really write home about. Calvin Kattar, on the other hand, he has Moicano on his resume, but he lost to him. And I think his best win, to be honest with you, is his win over Ricardo Lamas by TKO in his last fight. So he's definitely surging. But other than that, I mean, he's got decent guys on his resume. Shane Burgos, who's a decent fighter. Andre Fili, who's, decent. But I do think Jeremy Stephens and Shayman Moraes are better fighters than those guys. And I do think Zabit might have a bit better experience at this point. Zabit does, rather. He has better experience at this point, especially having beaten Jeremy Stephens. So, I do think, as far as the tail of the tape and the records go, that Zabit has a bit of an advantage here. Another thing I wanted to discuss was, how are these guys going to win this fight? If I'm being honest with you guys, I think Zabit just keeps this thing on the outside if he's smart, and uses his length, uses his kicks, uses his fantastic striking. I think standing up, he's got the advantage, and I do think on the ground, he's got the advantage. If I'm him, I'm really utilizing my kicks. I'm probably going to the body. Kattar's a bit explosive, so going to the body and investing in the body might be a good idea. Magomedsharipov shouldn't stand in the pocket with Kattar, who seems pretty explosive, especially on the inside. And that's what I would do if I was Zabit Magomedsharipov. As far as Kattar goes, I think he's going to have to get inside and make it a bit of a dogfight. I don't think he has any striking or grappling advantage here at all. I don't think his kicks are as good as Zabit's. I think he's going to have to get inside, you guys, to be honest, and fight on the inside and crowd Magomedsharipov and try to bang him out the way Bochniak did against Zabit when they fought. He was in there and he was scrapping with him, and I think that's the only way Kattar's going to be able to beat him. Maybe get him tired, find some openings, and try to bang him out of there. That brings me to my prediction, knuckleheads. I'm going to have to go ahead on this one and go with the odds makers. I think Magomedsharipov, too good, too much talent, too much reach, too much length, everything on his side. At home, ostensibly in Moscow, Russia, even though, he's from, I guess, Dagestan. But I just, close enough. It's definitely more of a home fight for him than it is Kattar, who's going to be in hostile territory out in Russia as the American. Just every advantage seems to be going for Magomedsharipov. I think he's a calm, collected assassin in there. He knows what he's doing. He's technically sound. I think he's very hard to pick against. And if I'm being honest, I've never even seen the guy get hurt. But again, I think Kattar's best bet is to get on the inside and try to bang him out. So at this point, before I head on over to the chat and see what everybody else is talking about, I just want to tell you guys, please subscribe, click the bell notification icon. I appreciate you guys joining the chat. Again, we do this almost every night at 9 p.m., so I appreciate you joining us and helping us build the channel and helping us build Fighters Rep Promotions, the only kickboxing promotion in the entire state of California. If you really want to help us out, you can donate to the Super Chat, get your Fighters Rep gear in the links in the description. Or now, since Black Friday's coming up, we're an Amazon affiliate. Please click the Amazon affiliate link below. After you click it, it'll take you to some hand wraps. Even if you don't buy those hand wraps, anything you buy after clicking that link, it'll get us a commission if you buy something after clicking that link, and it won't cost you a thing. So I'd really appreciate you guys doing that. Tell your friends about it. It's a great way for us to make some extra dough to, reinvest right back into the promotion and help these young fighters that we're trying to help out here in Southern California. Again, the only kickboxing promotion in the whole state. So let's see what's going on in the chat. We got our brother Jamaican Boxing in this thing. Suleiman, I see you, my brother. Thank you for joining. We have, it looks like a new culprit, MAA, or actually I think he came on not too long ago. Appreciate you being in the chat. We got Coach Granillo in this thing again. Coach J, Game Bread Fight TV. Thank you so much, my man. And we've got Boxing 510 saying, what's up, bro? What's up to you, my man? Thank you guys for joining the chat. Much appreciated. And we've got a great fight tomorrow. Actually, we've got a lot of great fights tomorrow. Daniel Aon, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much. And I wanted to get your opinions, guys, on who you think is going to win the fight tomorrow. I think it's a pretty clear-cut decision win for Zabit Magomedsharipov. Maybe he could pull off a submission win. I do think Kattar's a tough guy and has a puncher's chance, but I just think from a technical standpoint, other than his power, he may not really have an advantage over Zabit Magomedsharipov. Jamaican Boxing says Zabit via submission. Jamaican Boxing, I really like your predictions, and I think you're spot on this one again, my man. I do think Zabit most likely gets a submission, but if I'm being honest, I think the highest possibility is him winning by decision, because I do think Kattar's a tough guy. Suleiman, the C&W stands for clenbuterol. That's what Suleiman says. I love it, my brother. Suleiman also says Greg Hardy taking a huge leap in competition. I'm rooting for Hardy with the upset. That's interesting, Suleiman. A lot of people hate on Hardy, and when I do see that people are fans of him, I find it interesting. He's such a polarizing figure with his, history. But, it's the fight game. I think he's got a lot of heart for going up and fighting this guy. Looks like he's a short notice replacement. And, you got to credit somebody that wants to get in there and fight the best. So, big props to him for wanting to do that. And, I think that's going to be an interesting fight. I think if Greg Hardy can beat Volkov, I think that's a real career-defining win for him at this point because, Volkov was beating Derek Lewis up until that last second knockout. So Volkov can fight. He put Fabricio Verdum away. And for Greg Hardy to beat him, if he can, would be impressive. Honestly, I don't know if he can do it. I don't think he can. I think he's going to have to knock Volkov out, which is possible. But I think Volkov is just a better all-around fighter at this point. Nonetheless, it could happen. You never know with this sport, these 4-ounce gloves and these explosive athletes. MAA is saying Zabit versus Max would be amazing. That's if Zabit wins this match. I agree, man. That is a fantasy fight waiting to happen. You've also got Max going up against Volkanovski. So, he's got to get past Volkanovski, who's also surging. I mean, you can't sleep on a guy like that. Suleiman says Kevin Lee versus Zabit. If Zabit wins, should be next. That would be a very intriguing matchup. If I'm being honest, though, I like Zabit in that fight. I think Kevin Lee had his way with Gregor Gillespie because, Gillespie was at such a reach advantage and such a striking disadvantage. Gillespie was at a reach and striking disadvantage, a seemingly obvious one. So, I thought Kevin Lee kind of did what he had to do there. I'm still impressed by his win. I thought that knockout was incredible. One of the best knockouts, if I'm being honest, that I've seen in a very long time. And I was really happy for Kevin Lee, man. He'd kind of gone on a slump for a little bit. He's a young guy. He's exciting. I think, he talks a little bit of smack, but I think he's articulate in the way he does it. And I think he's a classy guy. I like him. And I like his will to win. I like the fact that, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He tells you how it is. He wants to win. I like the kid, and I was really happy to see him beat Gregor Gillespie, if I'm being honest, because I don't like Gillespie's style, that hump wrestling style, that wet towel style. I like guys that want to stand and bang. It's why I started Fighters Rep Promotions. I think that's more entertaining for the fans. So I was really happy for Kevin Lee in that fight. Gamebred Fight TV, Coach Jay says, hope you're having a great night, George. I am, Coach. Hope you're having one too, brother. I appreciate you joining the chat. Let us know what you think. If you guys don't know, Gamebred Fight TV is Coach Jay. He trains strikers at CMMA. I've seen him, I think, do work at King's MMA. I mean, this guy is a prolific striking coach. So any insight from him is always welcome, and I appreciate him joining the chat. Got Boxing 510 says, what's up, bro? What's up, my man? I'm doing good. Appreciate you being here. Daniel Aon says, Zabit wins via head kick. That's a hell of a prediction to predict a head kick win. I would be very impressed if that happens, Daniel Aon. And let me know what makes you think he'll win in that fashion. I could see that happening just because Kattar, I feel like he's definitely more of a boxer and probably not used to the kicks the way Zabit is. But tell me what you see, if anything, holes in the game that would make you think that Zabit wins that fight via head kick. Gamebred Fight TV, which is Coach Jay again, he says Zabit, George. Zabit versus Yair must happen after tomorrow. So Coach Jay officially has Zabit winning this fight, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that prediction. I think that's spot on, and I think Coach Jay probably sees what I see and then some. And Zabit versus Yair would be incredibly dynamic, man. That would be a fantastic fight. If I'm being honest, though, I think Zabit could probably take Yair. I think he's very strong on the ground, and I think standing up they'd be about even, but definitely a fight that I would like to watch. And then MAA in the following comment, basically echoing my sentiments here, saying Yair has no ground game. I don't think that would be a good matchup for Yair. That probably wouldn't be, but my goodness, how exciting would that fight be, especially if Yair can keep it off the ground and kind of have a stand-up war with Zabit Magomedsharipov, who has shown that he's willing to go to war. If you watch that Bochniak fight back, man, was he willing to go to war, knuckleheads. That was a sick fight and very entertaining. Daniel Aon is saying Zabit is too big for Max. Actually, probably not. Yeah, man, Max is a pretty big guy too. Let's not forget it. MAA saying Max is big as well, for sure. Max is a big boy, you guys. I mean, let's not forget he went up there and fought Poirier, and I think if he would have gotten the decision in that fight, it would have been reasonable. I mean, that was a really close fight. I did think Poirier won, but let's be honest here. Max hurt Poirier, and he's a big dude. He can move up, and like he says, he's Samoan. He can move up. Suleiman, Max is also too big for Max. All these fighters should move up and stop weight bullying. I'm not a big fan of the weight bullying. The way I feel about it, though, is if you can make the weight comfortably without hurting yourself or without putting the fight in jeopardy, you should do it. But as soon as you feel like you're being compromised, even a little bit, I think you should move up in weight. I don't like to see fighters drained on the scales. I don't think it's good for their health. I don't think it's good for their performance. So I'm 100% with you, Suleiman, just because I don't like to see these guys struggling and cutting their careers short for weight gain. And the way I see it is, and the reason I feel that way is because, Roy Jones Jr. That's the first example that comes to my mind when I think of guys that lost a lot of weight or had to cut weight. I felt like soon as Roy Jones Jr. won that title from John Ruiz and dropped down to fight Antonio Tarver again, his body was just never the same. I think all that weight cutting definitely has an impact, maybe on your nervous system, maybe on everything. It's just not a good thing for your body, I don't believe. And I don't like guys cutting that much weight, especially if you're fighting for us. So, I'm with you, Suleiman. Be at your normal weight, guys. Like Canelo did against Kovalev. He says he walks around at 175 pounds. He fought Kovalev at 175 pounds, and look at the result he got. Jamaican Boxing, my boy, says Max can't be too big. He never missed weight. Zabit by submission. And you know what, knuckleheads? Because of his incessant contribution to this channel, I'm going to have to go ahead today and officially add one more moderator to the chat. I want to thank him very much for his financial and emotional and textual contribution to the channel. Jamaican Boxing, thank you so much, brother. You are now officially a chat room moderator, so much appreciated. Now you can kick people out if you want, but we don't kick anybody out of this channel. People are allowed to say whatever they want. We are that channel that accepts everybody's opinion no matter what. The only time anyone will ever get kicked out of here is if they're being extremely annoying or disruptive and not contributing at all. At that point, I might ask you guys to kick somebody out, but for now, it's just symbolic. A show of appreciation. So thank you, Jamaican Boxing. Whiskey Dragonfly. What's up, my brother? Thanks for joining the chat. He says, Kattar is going to dog walk Zabit. UFC asked both Kattar and Zabit for 5 rounds. Kattar agreed. Zabit declined. Zabit is fighting his own homeland, but he ain't no real Russian BMF. Oh, shit. And Kattar boxing is so crispy, and his wrestling will stifle Zabit's grappling. Kattar has a very high fight IQ with well-balanced feet. Well, Whiskey Dragonfly, I'm taking everything you're saying into consideration. I find it intriguing, especially the fact about the 5-round versus 3-round thing. I didn't know about that. That being said, I still think Zabit is going to win this fight. And I do think Kattar's a tough guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, come on, 20 wins, only 3 losses in MMA. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of skill to go that far in MMA. And his boxing does look good. But for me, the all-around abilities of Zabit will probably just be too much. Too much in this fight. But I look forward to us getting back on the chat immediately after the fight. I'll get back on the chat. If I'm not able to make it, we'll do it at 9 p.m. again, Pacific. But I look forward to immediately after the fight getting back on here, and we'll talk about it. And, we'll see what happened. Either you're going to rub it in my face or I'm going to rub it in yours, brother. Jamaican Boxing says, Moicano beat the brakes off Kattar. No way he beats Zabit in 3 rounds. I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. That Moicano loss. I mean, even though Moicano's a bad dude. But I don't know, man. I think I see something that might be special in Zabit. I might be buying into the hype with Zabit. Jamaican Boxing says, oh, I'm crying. Well, unless you're cutting some onions, you ain't got no reason to cry, Mother Flower. But I appreciate, again, what you've done for the channel and your contribution. You're the man. Suleiman says, Canelo put a jab clause only on Kovalev on top of the rehydration clause. I seen the contract. Suleiman, if you have evidence of the contract, please feel free to send it to me. By the way, guys, if you're not following us on Instagram, I'd like you guys to do so. We're at FightersRep on Instagram, at FightersRep on Twitter. We're much more active on Instagram and Facebook. I think on Facebook, which is at FightersRep, we've got over 7,000 followers now, which I'm really excited about. On Instagram, we're closing in on 7,000. We got like 6,900. And on Twitter, we got like nothing. I hardly do anything on Twitter. I've been trying to, get some help on that front and post more. But definitely follow us if you can. It'd be much appreciated. And, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Jamaican Boxing says, KSI or Logan Paul, who you got? To be honest, I got Logan Paul. I thought he won the last fight. Plus, I think Shannon Briggs is hilarious. And my boy Bernie Hopalian is helping train Logan Paul. He's the Mick guy. I don't know if you guys see him on Instagram. We're close friends. We've had a couple good interviews on the channel. Bernie's a real interesting guy. A guy who, came from the depths of despair. He's a testament to humanity, man. This guy was a heroin addict living in a truck, and now is one of the most prolific trainers in the world. Training guys to become champions, training Logan Paul. He's got so many clients now. Like, I feel like I can't even talk to the guy anymore. I got to text him just to get a word in, and I hope he answers me at this point. He's so big time at this point. So I got to go with Logan Paul just because my boy Bernie Hopalian is backing him up. But also, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think Logan Paul won the last fight. I think he's a better fighter. And I'm definitely more interested in the Zabit fight. Also, definitely more interested in watching Devin Haney and Billy Joe Saunders than I am in watching Logan Paul and KSI. But I appreciate what they're doing for the sport. I mean, it is a gimmick. But at the same time, they're bringing millions of eyes to the sport of boxing. So as long as it grows combat sports and it's not too negative, I don't mind it. I do dislike the fact that they're main eventing, but at the same time, I mean, they're the ones bringing in a lot of the numbers, so they're sort of entitled to that, So I don't have a huge problem with that. Got boxing. Oh, by the way, who do you guys have winning that KSI Logan Paul thing? And are you even going to watch? Do you guys even care about that? I would watch Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney. And then just, to support my boy Bernie Hopalian. But other than that, I don't really have a reason to watch KSI and Logan Paul. Got Boxing says, bro, you know what fight I want to see? Masvidal versus Kobe. Holy shit, man. That would be a real fun fight. I think the beef leading up to that fight would be explosive. I'm really looking forward to that Colby Usman fight. When they faced off, man, that was a scary face-off. I really liked that face-off. That face-off was cold, and neither guy batted an eyelash, man. They want to fight each other, so I'm really looking forward to that fight. And they're both good fighters, too, so that's going to be a great one. But Masvidal, I do think Masvidal should get the winner. If it's Usman, that's not as spicy as if it's Colby because of his history with Colby. But nonetheless, I do think Masvidal should get the winner, and then a Masvidal-Colby fight would be better. More entertaining, at least. Suleiman says, why do you think of the substitute teachers What do you think? The substitute teachers Devin Haney and Billy Joe Saunders are fighting tomorrow. What do you think I think about that, Suleiman? 90% of the shit I do on this channel is vent about these bullshit fights. The guys they're fighting have no chance. Just no chance. I'm gonna see if I can pull up some odds here. So Billy Joe Saunders fighting Marcelo Esteban Coceres. Holy shit, you guys. Holy shit, man. One of these online sites has Billy Joe Saunders as a minus 10,000 favorite. Oh, my God. A minus 10,000 favorite. I can't make this shit up, you guys. I really can't make this shit up. Wow. And Devin Haney, same thing against Alfredo Santiago Alvarez. Minus 10,000 favorites. Holy shit, you guys. I mean, all I got to say, man, is I hope the referee is conservative. I hope they've got the ambulances on standby ready to go and there's no issues there, because there's no fucking way in hell these guys should even be in the ring as minus 10,000 favorites. And that's your typical boxing culture, boxing establishment, combat sports establishment bullshit, man. What do you guys think of that? Should a person that's a minus 10,000 favorite be allowed to fight? That's crazy. That's just silly, man. Whiskey Dragon, and I'm glad you bring that up, Suleiman. You're funny / intelligent and clever in the way you bring things up. I appreciate that. Whiskey Dragonfly Cater is going to turn Zabit into the next Anthony Pettis. Just watch. Damn. Whiskey Dragonfly, do you know something we don't? Are you a friend of Cater's? What's going on here? Jamaican Boxing says, question. How come the UFC doesn't release their pay-per-view anymore, especially since that ESPN deal, their pay-per-view numbers? You know what? I don't know, but I'm going to have to look into that and find out. Now you've piqued my interest. I'm sure their pay-per-view numbers are pretty fucking good, though. But I don't know, maybe it's because they have to rely on a subscriber base, and so maybe the numbers... I don't know. Maybe they would have to go by subscribers as opposed to views. I don't know. Maybe they're tracking it in a different way. I'd be interested to see what they're doing to keep track of viewership now that they're on these live streaming sort of platforms, DAZN and ESPN Plus. MAA says ESPN is a cult. Suleiman. Yeah, UFC keeps all that number stuff on the down low now. Now we're forced to believe anyone they tell us is a star. Excuse me, guys. I want to see the numbers to determine who's the real stars. I'll be honest, though. Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz are stars. Anybody or any two people that can sell out Madison Square Garden in the fashion that they did and basically have Canelo Alvarez and Kovalev take a knee, as Chris Cully said yesterday during his interview. Because let's be honest, they made Canelo and Kovalev take a knee. They made boxing take a knee. Those guys are stars, man. Any two people that can do something like that, you're an absolute star. I've never seen anything like that from an MMA standpoint. You know, filling up Madison Square Garden, having a fantastic card for a belt that's not even a real promotional title, and making boxing your bitch all in the same night. It was just incredible. And it goes to what we talk about on this channel, you know, the corruption and the bullshit boxing establishment never investing in its sport, never giving a shit about its sport. And that's where this comes from. Because, you know, had boxing given a shit about its sport and invested in itself the way the UFC has been doing in the over 100 years that boxing has been around, it would be way ahead. But now it's conceding. It's conceding to the UFC a lot, and it's not looking good. Jamaican Boxing says, Usman going to beat the patriotism out of Colby. Oh, my God. Jamaican Boxing. Billy Joe opponent played for Argentina in the 1969 World Cup in soccer. Holy shit. Is he fighting Maradona? Holy shit. Billy Joe Saunders is fighting Maradona? Vladimir Kraft, thanks for joining, my brother. Appreciate you, Vladimir. He's saying never should be allowed. Hi, everyone. And he's referring to these minus 10,000 underdogs that are fighting Devin Haney and Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, haven't we gotten enough people hurt in this sport this year? Why do we have these minus 10,000 underdogs fighting? This is kind of scary, you guys. Jamaican Boxing says, Devin Haney opponent is a Honda used car salesman. Well, you know, at least Honda's reliable. Jamaican Boxing. I'll also say this, even though they don't sponsor me, Hyundai is pretty reliable as well. I got a Hyundai, and it's pretty fucking reliable. Before I continue any further, guys, please feel free to donate to the super chat. It'll be much appreciated, even if it's $1, whatever. It's much appreciated. I get to reinvest it back into Fighters Rep. I definitely encourage it. It'll also help me quit my fucking full-time job so I can do this full-time and continue to build the promotion, because having 2 full-time jobs is fucking tough. So I appreciate you guys helping me out. Also, pick up your Fighters Rep gear. That helps too. You can do it in the links below and the Amazon affiliate link below. If you buy those hand wraps in the affiliate link or anything after clicking that link, we do get a commission. So be sure to use that link for your Black Friday shopping, especially because you know you're not going to get your ass out the house to go to the store. You know, you're just going to order shit off Amazon like everybody else does. So do me that favor. It's much appreciated, guys. Let's see. Suleiman saying, Teddy Atlas was really emotional when addressing the Canelo Kovalev. To say he was disappointment would be an understatement. Did you watch that podcast with Teddy Atlas? What's it called? I always forget the name of the podcast. The Fight Game or something like that. It's him and that guy, that marathon runner. And I think I know what you're talking about because I watched that entire podcast. I really enjoy Teddy Atlas because I like how emotional he is. He makes for really good television. And he's also very insightful in like an old school kind of way, especially, you know, which I really like. And yeah, man, Teddy Atlas was fucking pissed and emotional and disgusted with DAZN and Golden Boy and the way they kind of handled that whole situation. And he basically, said that they set the sport back. You know, he basically said that Golden Boy and DAZN, by conceding to the UFC in that way, by doing it the same day, you know, everything they did was kind of a disaster. And he also said that, which I thought was hilarious, he looked at the camera and he said, "Hey guys, send your resumes into the zone." Basically, he was saying these people are incompetent. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Send your resume in, and hopefully they can get some competent people to fix the fucking disaster that they got going on over there in the zone. And he to extent, I think he's right. Why would you go on the same day as the UFC show at Madison Square Garden and then delay your fight when you've got the biggest star in boxing on your card in order to appease, your and then ask the UFC to air their fight in your show in order to appease the restless fans? And why would you do all this stupid shit? And then you wait for the UFC main event to finish so it doesn't take away from your ratings. I guess that's a smart business move, but a smarter fucking business move would have been to do the fight on Mexican Independence Day or some other fucking day. Do it the following weekend. Why would you do that to yourself? It was just fucking stupid. And Teddy Atlas, he tells it like he feels it. He tells it like it is in his opinion. And I gotta agree with him, man. I saw boxing on Saturday take a knee. I saw boxing get its ass whipped by the UFC on Saturday. There's no way around it. There's just no way around it. They packed Madison Square Garden. Canelo was sitting there taking a nap on a couch with Kovalev, taking naps on the couch, waiting for Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz's fight to finish as it plays live in the venue they're going to be fighting in. They're sitting there pacing back and forth, falling asleep on couches. Their hands are wrapped. They're ready to go. They're pacing back and forth, waiting for the fucking UFC fight to finish. And it's just ridiculous. What if the UFC would have said no? What if people just sat there in the dark or whatever and, been entertained by commercials for half an hour? It's just so stupid. It's just so dumb. So, I agree with Teddy, man. I agree with Teddy. Daniel Aon, Stipe Miocic versus Tyson Fury in MMA. Oh, God. You know what? I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know if I look at things a bit different than most people because I don't mean to sound like a know-it-all, right? But I grew up in Miami, Florida, man. And we had some athletes in Miami, Florida. We had some athletes, man. I had friends, I thought I was pretty special, because I can run fast and jump high. I dunked the basketball when I was 15 years old. And I don't even think I was 6 feet tall yet. And I used to be able to jump really high. Even in law school intramural leagues, I was catching alley-oops and shit. I could jump, but I had friends in Miami. Man, we had this one dude that was like 5'7", 5'8", that could do 360s. We had some animals. We had a dude in my high school that ran a 10.21 in the 100 meters in high school as a senior. So my point is, man, I've seen athletes, I look at people's legs and bodies and I say to myself, this guy's an athlete. This guy will make it doing this. This guy won't make it. Tyson Fury's legs are not built for MMA. I don't see Tyson Fury's legs holding up to any sort of takedown, any sort of leg kick. I think Tyson Fury's legs would just completely snap or just get torn in half if anybody were to leg kick him or take him down in the heavyweight division. These guys have a lifetime of wrestling. What would he do if Cormier just grabbed him and threw him on the floor? And Cormier would just destroy him. Stipe Miocic would just destroy him. Same thing. What would he do? Even for a guy like Fabricio Verdum, who's got a lifetime of jiu-jitsu under his belt. What would Tyson Fury do? He'd be clueless. People that think these fights would actually be competitive, they don't understand sports. They can't spot talent. There's something wrong. There really is something wrong, because Chad George told me this, and I live by this shit. If you're standing up, you've got a chance. Most people standing up, throwing punches, you've got a chance, especially in MMA with 4-ounce gloves on. But once it gets to the ground, the guy with superior knowledge on the ground, I don't care who you are, that guy is going to tear your shit up, man. And I've experienced it. I'm not good on the ground. I don't have any experience on the ground. I trained a couple times at CMMA where I typically do boxing and Muay Thai. The few times I've gone into that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, let me tell you, I'm not a little guy. I'm a big guy. I'm pretty fucking strong. I can still, walk on my hands and do all kinds of gorilla shit. Man, these guys, half your size, will just fold you the fuck up. I'm telling you. Chad George is 5'6". I seen him twist people into fucking pretzels. It's not close, and it's dangerous. I mean, it's real dangerous. You get hurt, they'll pop your knees out, they'll pop your elbows out, they'll beat your ass on the ground. It's a different world down there. Boxing is not going to get you ready for that. So I don't think Tyson Fury needs to go anywhere near the fucking MMA world. I think he should be a boxer. If he wants to get into pro wrestling, more power to him. If he wants to make some money and do that, no problem. But he has no business in MMA with those guys, let me tell you. MAA says, Devin Haney versus Ryan. Who do you think is going to win? If you mean Ryan Garcia, I think Devin Haney wins that fight at this point. But I think it could be a good fight. I think Ryan Garcia might be a bit underrated. I think it would be a good fight. I think once they both hit their prime, it'll be a better fight. And then we'll see who wins. Hopefully they'll fight each other. Chemical X, thank you so much for joining the chat, brother. Much appreciated. He says Logan versus TKO. I guess he means Logan via TKO. And that could happen. I definitely think that could happen. If anything, I think Logan wins by decision. But we'll see. Or maybe they do another bullshit draw. Daniel Aon, what time does the Logan Paul card start? Honestly, I don't know, Daniel. I guess Google it, see what's up. But I'm not sure what time it starts. I'll have to look that up too. Jamaican Boxing, how does the Zone make money from the fights when they pay Canelo $36 million per fight, but the subscriptions aren't going up in North America? Well, it's a huge investment is what the Zone is. So they're either going to make or break. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have made that investment. Maybe I'm wrong, but a streaming service where you pay $5 a month and you're shelling out that kind of fucking money to guys, you're setting records in the amount of money you're paying guys. That just wouldn't sit right with me, man. I'm not that kind of guy, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too small, but I like to be in a situation where I feel like I'm going to win. And in that situation, it just seems to me that they're dumping so much money into the Zone and into these fighters and everything for a subscription that's like $10 a month or whatever it is. I don't know how I feel about that, but maybe my mind will change in the future. Daniel Aon, laughing my ass off. Canelo pulled out his sleeping bag. That was sad, my man. But maybe it was like a custom Under Armour sleeping bag or something. Get some sponsorship money going. Suleiman says Kovalev made an entire beef stroganoff meal during the delay. You are an evil bastard, Suleiman. Beef stroganoff is delicious, by the way, Suleiman. Spider-Man, thank you for joining the chat, brother. He says, John Jones got skinny legs. Yeah, but John Jones has athletic skinny legs. Tyson Fury has chicken legs that have never wrestled, never played football, never done any of that stuff. John Jones grew up playing football and wrestling. His legs will never be big, but I can assure you they're strong, and you can tell by the way they look. I mean, the guy's fast, the guy's strong, he knows how to move. Not to say that Tyson doesn't know how to move, but he knows how to move in boxing. It's different than being a wrestler. I mean, wrestling legs are completely different from boxing legs. How's he going to stop a takedown? He's got all his weight at the top. He's got these skinny little legs. He's a little overweight. soon as they, and he's never wrestled in his life probably. Soon as they grab that leg, and he's just gonna topple over, man. It's gonna be a mess for him. You can't compare John Jones to Tyson Fury. No way, no how. MAA says Masvidal has gone mad. He wants to fight Canelo. He's got the Conor syndrome. What a joke. Well, he's not gone mad, MMA. I mean, he just wants to make money. I mean, that's what this is about for him. He's 34 years old. He knows his career is probably winding down. He wants the big fights. And what's a bigger fight than Canelo Alvarez? And these UFC guys know they're going to still make more money in boxing with the big boxing fights than they will in MMA. I mean, even though Madison Square Garden sold out or whatever, just the pay structure in boxing is still superior. So Masvidal is trying to get a payday, and I don't blame him for that. And I would watch Masvidal Canelo. I think that'd be a fun fucking fight, even though I think Canelo would win that fight hands down. Jamaican Boxing says, talking about skinny legs, I'm pretty sure Deontay walks around on his hands. Well, hey, Deontay's got skinny legs too, and he doesn't belong in the octagon. Deontay belongs in the boxing ring. So that's another guy that should not test his luck in the octagon. It's a different world, you guys. Suleiman, Masvidal is not a legacy fighter. He's a money fighter. He said it over and over again. He wants the money fight. And in doing so, he's created a legacy for himself. So, I mean, he's killing two birds with one stone, and that's much appreciated. Daniel Aon, LOL, his legs are weak. I agree, though. That's why I enjoy MMA more, because they don't neglect different styles of fighting. I feel it's more realistic. Of course it is. MMA fight is the closest thing to a real fight, you guys. MAA is saying he was criticizing McGregor, and now he wants to box as well. I mean, was he criticizing McGregor for boxing, or was he criticizing McGregor for another reason? I'm not sure why he was. I think he just wants to fight McGregor. I think he's just talking shit so he can fight McGregor and get a big payday. Suleiman says that's why Masvidal is entertaining a rematch against Diaz, who he just beat for 15 minutes straight instead of saying title shot or nothing, which he's in the position for. He wants the money, for sure. MAA said, I liked him, but he's becoming a joke now. Got crazy skills, but needs to stop following Conor. Suleiman says, the zone costs $13.99 a month here in Canada. Fuck. I don't even know what I pay for that shit. It's like on auto pay or some shit. Jamaican Boxing. Yes, Suleiman. That's what I pay, which converts to about $18 US. Such a good deal. I mean, if they get a million subscribers, I mean, that's $18 million a month, you guys. So that's assuming they get a million subscribers. I mean, which I think they can do that with time. And then if you get that many subscribers, a million subscribers, you're making $18 million a month, then maybe that investment is worth it, but I don't know. Are that many people going to buy into it? I wonder how many subscribers there are right now. If anybody has that information, feel free to share. So, man, I got the zone right now, but I don't see myself keeping it past December after the Ruiz AJ2. There's really nothing else to look forward to. Yeah, so, man, but there's always something to look forward to in boxing. I mean, after Ruiz AJ2, maybe they do the rubber match if AJ wins. Or maybe, Wilder versus AJ finally happens. Or maybe Dillian White fights Wilder, I think all those fights are intriguing, man. The heavyweight division is popping right now, so definitely, I think you'll see more exciting fights popping up. MAA says the zone isn't available in Australia. It sucks. What the fuck? Why is it not available in Australia? That's ridiculous. You guys got a huge fucking fighting culture out there and fan base out there. What Adesanya and Whitaker did out there was incredible. I'm really surprised. And, Joseph Parker out of New Zealand, I mean, I would imagine he's got a big following there in Australia as well. So it just seems pretty weird to me that the zone isn't available in Australia. That's really fucking weird. But anyway, knuckleheads. Well, I've been on this freaking thing for almost an hour, knuckleheads. I really appreciate you guys joining me, man. Great fucking contributions from all of you guys. We're going to link up tomorrow after the Zabit fight. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about KSI, Logan Paul, Billy Joe Saunders, and Devin Haney fighting those substitute teachers. We'll discuss that tomorrow as well. And you all have a great night. Behave yourselves. And until next time, keep it clean. Jamaican Boxing, before I sign out, says if AJ wins, he'll never fight outside England again. Suleiman says, speaking of Whitaker, he recently reacted to Darren Till's win and said he needs to fight him. That would be sick. MAA saying if John Jones moves up, do you think he could still win against guys like Stipe or Ngannou? I think yes, but I think Ngannou's a real fucking threat. And Suleiman says peace. Peace out, brothers. Much appreciated. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Keep it clean.